Oh man, beautiful time of year. College basketball in March, great marriage, tournament week happening. The Sooners and Cowboys are off to Kansas City. The Golden Hurricane is, oh God, where are they going, Bill? Where's the American again?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Good Lord. Let's get the sights down before we move the matchups.
Well, you remember that they built that brand new arena. I guess any
That's right.
arena build is a brand new arena, but they built this arena in Fort Worth last year, and so the American was to have played there,
Mm-hmm.
and then so because this week is going to be like the ultimate memory lane week for a lot of us because like a year ago yesterday, Kelly Hines and I drove to Wichita to watch TU and Wichita State.
Right.
We get back and we're getting ready for conference tournament week and state tournament week for the high schools.
Yeah.
And obviously, midweek, the Thunder game is canceled. The next day, the state tournaments are canceled. The NCAA tournament itself is canceled. Spring sports, all of it. So, and this beautiful arena in Fort Worth was supposed to have hosted the American tournament last year. Well, there was no American tournament. So,
Yeah.
they'll go down and try to get a tournament played there. TU plays. What did we decide, Garen? It's,
Tulane. They start with Tulane.
Yeah, 3:00 Thursday, and then that winner advances to face a Houston team that could be destined to go to the Final Four, and won on a pretty dramatic half-court shot yesterday to beat Memphis. So, I mean, it's a glorious week, and it's a week that it's always been glorious, and I think we always took it for granted. And of course, we're going to have championship week every year, and then we didn't last year. So it's even with these limitations or whatever, I'm pretty happy, to see these games get played.
Yeah, or he's playing now, at least as we record. So the Golden Eagles have already off and running in the summit. So I want to begin in Kansas City. We'll get back to you, I promise, and talk about not just their matchup, but Frank Hayes' situation. But it's a potentially big week as well for the Sooners and Cowboys. Their NCAA tournament fate is pretty much sealed. They're going to Indianapolis after they get out of Kansas City. Oklahoma slipped into a mid-seed range with their losing streak. The Cowboys are moving the other direction up toward a potential 5-6, 4-6 range. 4 would be best case scenario probably. Right. Both have delicious matchups coming their way in KC. I assume the Sooners will beat Iowa State, right, in the first round game, although the Cyclones, despite not having won in the Big 12, continue to fight to their credit. And they did play the Sooners tough twice during the regular season. That's not going to be a cakewalk, but I think Oklahoma wins. Then you're looking at quarterfinal matchups, Bill, with the Sooners against Kansas in the 2-7 game on Thursday night, whereas the Cowboys start at 10:30 in the morning. And the 4-5 matchup with, what do you know, West Virginia, team they just beat without Cade Cunningham in Morgantown on Saturday. I have both of these guys, both the Sooners and Cowboys, advancing into the semis, putting a lot of faith in both teams to win tough games on Thursday. But I got them going to the semis before they get knocked out. What's the ceiling for OU and OSU, you think, in Kansas City?
Well, the OU season now reminds me of quite a bit of the 2018 season with Trae Young, where you had such a great pinnacle and then a nosedive to mediocrity. You stagger into the postseason and you're an easy out for Rhode Island that year. And I don't even remember if they even won a game in the Big 12 that year. I don't remember.
But I think OSU beat them.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
No, I think I think OSU, like I wrote the other day, I thought that was the best program win that Boynton's ever had. Saturday in that he took a team to Morgantown without Cunningham, without Isaac Likely, and I thought it was the best example of coaching in 4-minute increments that I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Boynton held it together, used timeouts really smartly, and then got big buckets and big playmaking from guys who hadn't been asked to really do that. So I thought it really underscored the quality of his roster.
Yeah.
And I can't fathom that there's a better kind of a confidence building victory to go into the postseason with.
Right.
Presuming that they haven't gotten a call this morning from the NCAA saying, we're going to go ahead and enforce your the postseason ban now. I don't think that's going to happen. Although I spoke with one of the assistant ADs over the weekend, and he said in theory it could still happen.
Sure.
You'll be banned from the postseason. I said you could be in Kansas City unpacking your bags and get that call. He said yes. So I guess to some extent there's still a hold your breath component with Oklahoma State, but
Yeah.
I think they're in the clear. I think they're going to get to play in the Big 12 and then the NCAA, and I think they're in a great place right now. They're playing really well. I mean, Avery Anderson's career from this point will be different by virtue of what he did on the road the other day. I don't know what to think of OU. I think OU. I don't think OU is necessarily slumping. I think it's been said they caught a lot of teams when they were on that hot streak at the right time with regard to issues on the other side, you know, the other team having issues, and OU, got some big victories that really, if you look back, I mean, they got their ticket punched, 6-8 weeks ago.
Right.
With what they did then, Garen,
Right.
versus what they did more recently. So they've been kind of running on fumes now for about a month. So I don't know how to feel. I don't know if OU is one of those teams that could win a game and then suddenly kind of reestablish its mojo, or if they've got so many issues with like decision making with the ball and rebounding has been they're just not a very good rebounding team. So I'm not that optimistic that the Sooners are going to get to the actual weekend, but I feel pretty good about OSU right now. And I mean, and if you tell me right now that Kansas is going to win the tournament, I'd be like, all right, of course they will. I mean, I don't expect it.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I wouldn't either, except that what they usually do. So
yeah, well, here's what we know, right? Both the Cowboys and Sooners are going to play toss-up games from here on out because they always do. Every game that these two teams play, and this is what's part of what's made this such a really cool season for state basketball fans. Every game these guys play is up for grabs going into the final, 3 minutes or so.
Right.
The Cowboys are winning those games, and Oklahoma has stopped winning those where you got to be tougher than your opponent, not necessarily better, right? That's a mental fortitude situation, and that's another mark I think that bodes well for the Cowboys is that Boynton knows, I think, how tough his kids are and how together connected they are, and I think that it's an easy intangible to throw out when it comes to March college basketball, but it's such an important one, and I think the Cowboys really have that sauce going for them right now.
And I got to say, I think Caleb Boone is, I don't know what kind of award you would want to give him at the banquet, but he should get something because this second half of the season, remember he had a game. Oh my goodness. I want to say it was at TCU, and he played like 12 minutes and he scored 1 point, and they have a big man at TCU who's a real nightmare of a matchup for Caleb because Caleb's 212 pounds maybe. And
right.
He's a guy that flourishes in a speed game and in a run game, and he is not a guy that enjoys fighting in the paint all night. And since that game, he's shooting right. And we're talking about like 6 or 7 games since he's shooting about 70%.
Yeah,
and clutch baskets and clutch blocks. Boy, I always did hear this and saw this too at Memorial, that he was a masterful shot blocker with regard to timing and to keep the ball in play, not just bang it out of bounds, but keep it in play. And Caleb Boone's just in the last 2 months, his growth as a contributor for Mike Boynton off the charts. He's been fantastic.
So we'll keep an eye on Boone and OSU as well as Austin Reeves and Devion Harmon and the Sooners all week. It should be a fun 4 days. And as Bill alluded to, if nothing else, it gives us a reason to celebrate the fact that we're 1 year into the pandemic and we're starting to feel better about things. I hope that no one's getting sent home this year, as opposed to everyone packing their bags for just a gruesome stretch of COVID in this country, as was the case this time last year. All right, Tulsa. Obviously it's a big week for the Golden Hurricane. They've had somewhat of a lousy season, Bill, and you'd like to think they could string a few things together at the American tournament. at least beat Tulane in the first round and move on to take their shot at Kelvin's Houston Cougars. It's hard to know. It's hard to say that with certainty. And speaking of that, there's the uncertainty regarding head coach Frank Haith. You wrote about that recently for us, and you're tied into that situation. Is this a big week, not just for the players and the guys actually playing the games for TU, but the head coach?
Well, I mean, it's a big game just because you're going to drive down there and try to win the tournament, American Tournament Championship. But do I believe that like the outcomes of these games somehow might be a factor in whether they decide to give Frank a new contract or make a change? No,
Really?
no, because we're talking about it's really a 7-year body of work, an examination of that versus just, go to Fort Worth and try to save your job kind of a deal. It's not like that. 7 years is a big chunk to look at and to reflect on. So no, I don't think it's that kind of a week. I mean, it's a big week because at its best, Tulsa has shown an ability. Tulsa beat Houston. Here I am bragging about Houston with you before we started about Houston being positioned to possibly go to the Final Four, right? Tulsa beat Houston. Tulsa had a really magic run there where they beat Cincinnati and South Florida on the road back-to-back. They never trailed in those games on the road, never trailed. I mean, they played really smart basketball. This has never been a Tulsa team that like blows your eyes out with highlights, it's not a dazzling type team, but they were playing really, really super solid basketball and balanced offensive basketball in January. And then that just went away. And so now here they beat NSU the other day in a schedule filler kind of a game. But otherwise they're 3-7 in their last 10 in the American, and offensively, you say you should beat Tulane. Well, I watched Tulane and UCF the other day, 9 days ago, and I turned it on, Garen, just check the score, and I couldn't turn it off because it was so beautifully played, and the offense was just so off the charts and fun to watch, and I couldn't turn the game off. So Tulane won at the Reynolds Center. So this is a difficult first game. Every game right now for Tulsa is difficult just because they don't have much. The truth is they're just not very talented offensively, and getting buckets for them is a challenge. I mean, every possession is a grind for those guys, unless they happen to get a loose ball situation or get a dunk. I mean, otherwise it's very difficult for that team to get baskets. So 7 years of Frank Haith, his winning percentage is virtually identical to Doug Wojcik's through Doug's 7 seasons at TU, right? And then the at the time that Tulsa fired Doug in 2012, the stated reason was dramatic drops in revenue and season ticket sales, which really go hand in hand anyway. But and now 7 years into Frank, I mean, if you look at the attendance last season, not because they've had none this year. They never did let any fans in this year. But the attendance figures, 2019-20 season, it was the lowest in the history of the arena. So some of the same issues that resulted in Doug Wojcik's dismissal, could come into play now. We'll see. I don't know what, like I wrote the other day, typically when there's when something is imminent, like a coaching change, there's so many rumblings and so many indicators that it's kind of a given, right? It's coming. I haven't really sensed any of that this time. I'm just pointing out that, hey, you got 7 years of Doug versus 7 years of Frank. There is this history of having moved away from a coach because of these reasons, and now where does TU stand now with Frank? And I've kind of missed the whole point here of the reason why this is an issue today is because Frank only has the 1 year left on his contract.
Right.
you're going to, let's say they get beat by Tulane. Well, what are you going to do the next day? You got to hit the road and go recruit, or you start recruiting, right? You resume recruiting, but you have to be able to tell a recruit, this head coach is going to be here a while, and the university's committed to this guy. So I think TU's either got to have to extend him a couple of years for the sake of recruiting, or move a different direction. So I think by the end of the week, we'll have some real clarity on that deal.
Sounds like we'll have something to talk about one way or another when we get together again next week. Besides the look ahead at OU and OSU in the NCAA tournament, everyone's getting ready for really the best month of the year. If you're in the college basketball or college sports, period, this is about as good as it gets. So we'll have a lot of fun breaking it down. You and I on Mondays. So we'll try to squeeze in a little football now and then, with the understanding that we could at least donate 1 month of the year to the hoops. It's a fun time.
And then obviously the high schools.
And there's the preps. That's right. We don't want to miss that.
The Webster Warriors play. It's an oddly structured, and I don't know if I even still have that bracket up on my phone, but I think the Webster Warriors play, which is my adopted favorite team for the moment.
Sure, should be everyone's.
So the Webster Warriors play, I want to say like tomorrow night, mid-evening at the Big House, and then tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and then they turn around and go back down there if they win. Thursday, Saturday. I can't remember. It's not the traditional Thursday, Friday, Saturday on some of these classes. So anyway, Webster plays tomorrow night.
I understand the deal on the sites and the OSSA's job, but what a sad deal that Tulsans can't watch Anthony Pritchard and Webster here.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, in the metro. I mean, I get it. I don't want to drag that topic back up. That's been debated and discussed enough related to both football and basketball as sites for state championships. I'm just saying. And I don't think anyone would disagree. It's just a shame that in such a unique year and such a special kid that he can't play in his backyard as big as 3 games of his life up till now. That's all. So, all right. So root for the Warriors. Enjoy the high school basketball as well. Bill, I know you and I will be keeping an eye on that, as well as the college games in Fort Worth and Kansas City. We'll talk next week if it's cool with you.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Have a good week, folks. Thanks for watching, and keep reading us. TulsaWorld.com.